This is Global News at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Accessibility advocates in Nova Scotia are handing the province a failing grade.
At a legislative committee this morning, witnesses said the government's new accessibility bill missed the mark on several fronts. The legislation is a key promise from last month's throne speech, and now the province is committing to reviewing it.
Global's legislative reporter Marika Walsh now with a look at the criticisms and the government's response.
What the hell happened? We need a fundamental rethink.
I was expecting more, and surely as a province we can do more.
MLAs at the Law Amendments Committee got an earful from advocates disappointed by the proposed Accessibility Act. It's a key piece of the Liberals' legislative legacy, but witnesses say it has a long way to go if it's to be remembered for doing good.
We need a fundamental rethink, and this legislation, a little bit of tinkering, is not going to do it. It needs to go back to the drawing board, get it done right.
The bill will enable the creation of new standards for accessibility in Nova Scotia. But retired Dalhousie professor and herself a person with a disability, Diane Potier says it's a sorry attempt.
This legislation reads like the drafting instructions were go away and come up with the weakest accessibility act you can and bring it back.
Before getting to the meat of the bill, people presenting said the process itself was not accessible. There wasn't enough notice given for people who use Accessibus, and the bill wasn't transcribed into Braille or plain language. Inclusivity advocate Paul Vino calls it undemocratic.
If people are to take part in democracy, they must be able to physically access the democratic process.
The bill itself faces criticism on several fronts. For example, not enough focus on invisible disabilities like mental illness, too much decision-making power placed in the hands of the minister, and a lack of timelines.
There's no evidence in the Act itself of any timeliness of it being implemented, other than a statement that the Act will be reviewed every 4 years. Well, that's just not good enough.
Following the blistering reception at Law Amendments Committee, the government now says it's hitting pause on the bill. The bill will now be reviewed further by the committee, and then it will be brought back to the legislature likely next year. Marika Walsh, Global News, Halifax.
A man found unresponsive in his jail